Alright boys, welcome to BBL Semifinals against Shuckle King, who you can check out in the top right hand corner. And if you missed the team builder, be sure to check that one out as well. This is to go into finals. He brings the exact 6 that we expected. Like I said, I thought he was pretty locked into bringing these specific 6 Pokemon. And big surprise, he is Tower Water on that Ogerpon. If you missed the team builder, we've got Scarf Boulder and Scarf Gholdengo. Gholdengo's more of a mid-game breaker. Boulder we're looking for the in-game for, but honestly, you can switch either direction. We've got Ho-Oh, which is here specifically for that Zacian. We've got Kieran Black, which is here specifically for that Ogerpon, and Swampert, which is here for the Treads. We're gonna jump in here, have fun to Shuckle, man. All right, we're gonna see what Shuckle leads, man. I am excited to hopefully click our ticket to finals in this game. Have fun to Shuckle King again, man. He is somebody who I have known for a very long time, pretty much all of my draft league career. So we're going to see the Deoxys, which this is kind of what we expected off lead initially. And now I have a decision. Do I want to parting shot and go immediately into the Gholdengo, or do I want to get a screen up? I do think I value getting that parting shot off immediately, going directly into the Gholdengo and doing some massive damage with that Shadow Ball. He could knock off. I think I do parting shot here. I don't think I overthink this too much. I leave our Rinky Dinky in the back. We're going to go ahead and parting shot. We're going to go directly into our Gholdengo. We go directly into Mr. Feast here, as I can only assume we see rocks come up here. More than likely, as we are going to see the lead rocks from Shuckle King. Let me write that down, and we are just going to go ahead and rip off a Shadow Ball here and do a ton of damage to what I can only assume is going to be the Iron Tread switching in, and then we'll get into our Swampert, and we'll kind of see the game plan unfold from there. We're going to see the swap here. I can only assume this is going to be the Iron Treads. Let's see a little bit of damage on this Pokemon. Is he going to be Assault Vested, or is this going to blow him back? Let's see. It's looking like AV. It's looking like it could be offensive AV, or it could be Spadef, one of the two. All right, so our play here is always going to be Swampert and Wee Yawn. That is the sequence of events that we have. It covers him going into Ogerpon, and then he obviously wants to keep that Ogerpon around, so we will get our rocks up as that Pokemon switches out, presumably into what I can only assume would be Deoxys defense. We pivot out here. We go into Swampert. Well, I assume see an Earthquake come off here. A knockoff. Okay, that's fine. We have Boots. He did 403 down. He did 83 damage. So that is looking like offensive. That's looking like offensive Jolly with AV. So what we do now is we go ahead and get our Yawn off as he goes directly into what I can only assume would be that Ogerpon. It could also be maybe a Balloon Petra, but I really don't anticipate that coming off here. As we are going to go ahead and see him switch out here, I can only assume into the Ogerpon. He's actually going to go back into Dio. Okay, so he's going to go back into Dio, and I'm going to get our rocks up here. This could actually be a little bit problematic. I assume he's going to go for the teleport here. That way we can't get a secondary Yawn off, and then he's going to go into the Ogerpon. Interesting. Okay, this was a good play. So my question is, do I value rocks enough right now to go for rocks, or do I value flip turning more? I think I do value the rocks quite a bit. We are just going to go ahead and go for our rocks here. I do expect to see this teleport come off here. Rocks punishes the switches, and Iron Shreds is already pretty much in range of to where it cannot pivot in on the Gholdengo or the Iron Boulder anymore. So he's going to go for Nightshade here, actually. I'm a little surprised to see that, as I am going to go ahead and throw off this Stealth Rock here. And now this Dio is going to go to sleep. So I'm a little surprised, but it makes sense to use this as your sleep fodder, I suppose. As we're going to see Nightshade, Stealth Rock. And he is asleep. So now I have an interesting play here. I imagine you go into Ogerpon. What do I best do that covers the Ogerpon and you staying in? I think I could just go into Rinky Dinky. That lets me get a parting shot off if you go into Ogerpon, and if you stay in, I'm able to get screens up potentially, or parting shot out into the Gholdengo and see what you do accordingly. I do like the Grimmstar quite a bit. Going hard Gholdengo is a little tough because if you go into Ogerpon, I don't really like pivoting into that. So I am going to go into Grimmsnarl here. I think Grimmsnarl is a good play here, as he is going to stay in, it seems. All right, he is going to stay in here. He's going to burn 1 turn of sleep. I do think we just go for that parting shot here. This puts us in a great position to go into that Gholdengo. We're going to parting shot. He's going to be -1. And we're hoping that he does not initially wake up. He's rocks, he's Nightshade. We don't want to see the knockoff here. Essentially is what's happening. Odds are in our favor that he stays asleep this turn, I do believe. We just go into Gholdengo, and we're going to be able to fire off a Shadow Ball regardless of what happens here. Let's see, do you wake up? Oh, you little freak. And he brick breaks. Okay, so he was expecting the screens. All right, good to know. So that means you don't have screens, you don't have Spike maybe? or recover. We are just going to go ahead and fire off another Shadow Ball here. This puts the Treads in a bad spot if he does decide to switch that hard in. This even puts the Darkrai into a bad spot. So we're going to see what he has to... I mean, he has to make a decision here. He has to make a decision. Do you think that I am Scarf? Do you go into your Iron Treads? You have one more switch in left. Do you go directly into your Darkrai? Which obviously I don't pivot into the greatest. You go back into Treads. Okay, and we know you're not Scarf, so we are going to be able to 2-hit KO this Pokemon with Shadow Ball. And then he'll go into Darkrai, we'll go into Grimmsnarl, and then we'll pivot back into Gholdengo. Right? I could also just go into Swampert now. If I go into Swampert now, Swampert gets 2-hit KO'd. Swampert's not really needed for anything else. Am I in a bad spot if he goes into Darkrai? Honestly, no. I can get a light screen up against the Darkrai. It's not that scary. I am going to Shadow Ball here. I don't think he's going to expect us to be Scarf, and even if he does and he pivots out, he doesn't. All right, we're going to pick up the Treads, which is awesome. That opens up the Boulder in-game tremendously. So now, if I were him, I would go into that Darkrai. We're going to pivot directly into our Grimm. And if he does land a Hypnosis, actually, he's going to go into the Ogerpon. Okay. Ogerpon is a little bit tricky. He's going to be at 88% now. He's going to get that Tara off. And this Pokemon is a little hard for us to deal with, but we do have the Cure on Black, which is quote-unquote to check this. We switch out here. We're going to go into our Cure on Black here. I do anticipate maybe a knockoff, maybe just a Tara Cudgel. As we see rocks dig into us. And he does decide to go for the Tara, which means Fusion Bolt should KO him. If he goes for knockoff, that could be a little bit problematic. We might just have to essentially sack Cure on Black. This was what I was really afraid of with this Cure on Black set in the builder. You could also just Cudgel. Which I think maybe you did if you just went ahead and Taroed. But also you got the Spadef boost, so maybe not. Knock makes sense here. He's going to Cudgel. Okay, fantastic. So we are going to take enough to where we will live a low kick or a play rough. Ooh, we got a crit. He got a crit, which means that we still live a low kick, we don't live a play rough. So, awesome. That's a little bit problematic, but we should be able to Fusion Bolt and pick this Pokemon off if he does decide to stay in. The crit's unfortunate, only if he has play rough. Only if he has play rough. He's actually going to go for the low kick. We're going to be able to chew this up. We're going to be able to chew that up. We're going to be able to get the Fusion Bolt off, and we're going to be able to pick up the KO on this Ogerpon, unless he is Fizz Def. Come on. Come on. Let's go! Let's go! Shout out Wagon for convincing me to go Chople on that set. We take out one of the biggest threats to our team immediately. He does just go into the Zacian, and we are going to have to pretty much decide whether we want to sack this Pokemon or go directly into the Ho-Oh. That's going to be a little bit tricky, though. Darkrai. Okay. This is fine. What do you go for? Plot? Hypnosis? Just Dark Pulse, maybe. So... I have to sack... I'm sacking Cure on Black here. That's non-negotiable. What happens after that is where it gets a little bit dicey. I think what happens is I sack Cure on Black, I go into Boulder, I Tara Rock, Mighty Cleave, I have a chance to KO you, and you cannot do anything to me unless you Hypnosis me. I think I Scale Shot on the off chance that you go for like a sub or something, and then I will follow up by going Boulder. We see Dark Pulse. Are you going to be Life Orb? Dark Pulse. So you're not Life Orb, so you could potentially be Scarf. If we go Boulder, Dark Pulse doesn't do that much to us at all. Dark Pulse is 2-hit KO if he gets a flinch, if he is max speed Scarf. I do think Boulder is our best play. We could also go Ho-Oh, but I think Boulder is our best play. We go Boulder, we Tara Rock, and we Mighty Cleave. We don't overthink it. We have a chance to KO this Pokemon if he does decide to stay in. If he switches out, we KO it after Rocks the next time. He could totally be Scarf. And if he's Scarf, he does... After the next switch in, he does 2-hit KO our Boulder with 2 Dark Pulses. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to keep Ho-Oh healthy with this in mind that it could potentially be Scarf. He's going to withdraw here, so he is going to be in range of our next Mighty Cleave, which is great information to have. He's going to go into Petra Run. I actually, unless you're Fizz Def, I don't think you should be able to take 2 hits from us. You're going to be at 88. Petra Run with Tara Rock. If you're max HP, you will take 2 hits from us, but it's not going to be pretty for you. We're going to go ahead and get this Tara off. We're going to see if we're going to be able to 2-hit KO this Pokemon. Let's see. No, he's Fizz Def. Good to know. Fizz Def, Black Sludge. Okay. So literally max Fizz Def. So I do think we've put him in a position where he has to Shadow Ball Petra Run to Gholdengo. doesn't actually do that much damage. Shadow Ball would potentially 2-hit KO the Gholdengo if he does click that raw right now. I don't think he would raw click Shadow Ball. I think you probably go for the recover here. I really like the Gholdengo play. It puts us in an advantageous position where we can just click Shadow Ball and put him on the back foot very easily. He might call this and he might go for the Shadow Ball, in which case I'm going to have to decide if clicking our own Shadow Ball is going to be worth it. This Shadow Ball will not KO us. He clicks Foul Play here. And that does put us in range, potentially. Oh, he gets a crit. Okay, so now we're in range of a Shadow Ball only because of that crit. That's lovely. However, he does not have a pivot into this Pokemon. We're just going to go ahead and lock our own Shadow Ball here. So now what's happening is essentially we're playing into our Iron Boulder in-game as best as we can. He withdraws. Is he going to go hard Darkrai? Darkrai is probably Scarf if he goes hard into it. No, he goes into Deoxys. This should be a 2-hit KO. This should just be a 2-hit KO. Let's see. Oh, an Oko. We get a crit of our own. I mean, we could have flicked Shadow Ball the following turn, so they didn't really matter. And obviously, no matter what he goes into, we're going to have to switch out to this Gholdengo. This Gholdengo is extremely important to be able to actually beat that Pecharunt now. Honestly, I'm really hoping we see Darkrai. We're going to get a lot of valuable information on that Darkrai immediately. He goes Zacian. Okay, so we just go hard into our Ho-Oh now. Are you Boots? You're not Boots. Okay, you're 88. We just go hard into our Ho-Oh here, and we see what you end up clicking. We should live anything as long as you're not banded. We get to see, based on the damage, how much you do to us if you are, in fact, banded. Like I said in the team builder, his set should be pretty obvious here, in my opinion. He should be Wild Charge, he should be Crunch, he should be Play Rough, and in my opinion, in the last slot, you're probably Psychic Fang. So we're going to go ahead and go Ho-Oh here. This is what Ho-Oh is here for, as we don't take rocks because we are Boots, and we see the Play Rough 415. That might be banded. That might be banded. 415 to 327. He did 88 damage with Play Rough. No, that's definitely not boosting item of any sort. So he cannot KO me with a Wild Charge here, ever. We go for the Whirlwind. He's actually going to switch out, which is interesting. That's something that we saw in mocks quite often. As we're going to see the Pecharunt switch in, we're basically going to get free 12% on this Pecharunt as we force some other Pokemon in here. Let's see what we get. So he's down to what, 58 now? On the Pecharunt, which is awesome, and we're going to hopefully force that Zacian back in. If we force it back in, it's at 76. It's closer and closer to in range of Boulder, which is great, and we're going to be able to Sacred Fire. He actually goes into the Darkrai, which is the worst of the two situations here. But I do like going hard into the Grimmsnarl on this. Grimmsnarl is not super important to this in-game anyway. Parting Shot on the Zacian is pretty crucial, but we go into this Pokemon, we see what he wants to do. He's actually going to switch out here. As you go what? Pecharunt again? You go back into Pecharunt. Okay. Okay. As you're going to be now at 46%. So I really think that you've got to go for a recovery here. I really do. And at -1, let's say you're Poltergeist, let's say you're Shadow Ball. At -1, how much damage are you doing to Gholdengo? I also forgot to calculate the -1 on that Foul Play. That Foul Play crit mattered quite a bit, actually. We should still be in a good spot with our Gholdengo. After rocks, we should live a -1 Shadow Ball always. We should live a -1 Poltergeist always. So I am going to go for the Parting Shot here, as we're going to make a -1/-1. We're going to go directly into Gholdengo, and we're just going to cycle this. We're going to cycle the Shadow Ball now. We're going to get some big damage on something. I do expect the recover here, if you have it. Like I said, that Foul Play crit does actually matter more than it seemed, just because we could be potentially in range of a crit Shadow Ball, which is not ideal. We shouldn't be in range of a standard Shadow Ball, and he's going to go for the recover. So, Gholdengo's going to be able to click a free Shadow Ball here. Nothing really wants to pivot into this Pokemon at all right now. As we're just going to go for the Shadow Ball, we're not going to overthink it. We're going to do 80% to this Pokemon, 77 to 92, or we're going to get some massive damage on Darkrai, make it to where it's no longer a pivot. Sometimes I get really into this music, man. We're actually going to get this Shadow Ball off. We're going to get a ton of damage off on this Pecharunt, and hopefully, I mean, that just puts everything in range of Boulder, I think. I think everything should be in range of Big Boulder Shoulder. Does that put me in range of to where I cannot switch out on rocks? I do not believe so. The fastest Shadow Ball click of all time is going to happen right now. As we're going to try to take out this Pokemon or get massive damage on something else. You're at exactly 20% HP, it seems. We've seen Foul Play, Shadow Ball. We saw one recover. He's going to switch out. He's going to go Darkrai. So I'm assuming based on this, you are in fact Scarf on Darkrai. And you're going to be at what? 64 now. You're going to be at 64. Plus you're going to take this massive Shadow Ball. That's not quite a 2-hit KO. There's no real reason for me to stay in. You're at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You're at about 37. it looks like. So that's definitely not a 2-hit KO. I think my play is still Grimmsnarl. Even if you get the Sludge Bomb play correct, we do live that, and I can get a light screen up. And Grimmsnarl is also my most sleepable member if you do go for that Hypnosis. But like I said, I do think that your Scarf, based on the way that you're playing this, and you hard switch that in right there. I could be totally incorrect, but we'll see right here. You click Hypnosis if you have it. Click Dark Pulse. 217. Okay. So what we're going to do... I'm not really scared of this Pokemon. We could double out here if we wanted to. Gholdengo is like the freest double out of all time. You click, if you have it right now, either Hypnosis, you click Sludge Bomb, or you double into Patcharon. Do I have to make this play? No. But I think we still win it even if I get this wrong. He's going to switch out, so we get into Gholdengo again. I didn't have to make this play. I don't know if this was the correct play, but I was so confident that he was going into one of Darkrai or Zacian that I was willing to make that play. All right, we go Mr. Feast. We go Mr. Feast. We have one more rock switch in. We just click Shadow Ball, man. We just keep cycling. I could also click Make It Rain. Make It Rain kills this. Make It Rain covers Zacian. Make It Rain covers Darkrai. And I'm going to pivot out the following turn regardless. And I'll probably sack Swampert. So I like Make It Rain quite a bit. I am going to Make It Rain this time. And he's gonna sack this Pokemon. Okay. Down goes Patcharon. That means that the Boulder in-game should be pretty much locked unless he gets a flinch with the Darkrai. Darkrai should be at 25% HP. He cannot go Zacian. If he does go Zacian, we'll be able to get this Make It Rain on him, or we'll see if he is Scarf himself, which he's not. He's gonna go Darkrai now, and I do like saving this Gholdengo and just going hard into the Swampert now on a middle ground, because Swampert's pretty useless. Swampert really has no purpose left, and we can get a flip turn off on this Pokemon, or we can just sack Swampert and go into Ho-Oh or Iron Boulder, whatever the case is. We go into Swampert. Swampert, you served us well. Your rocks did a lot of damage here, man. Your rocks did great here. As he's going to go for Sludge Bomb here, and if he gets the poison, he might 2-hit KO us. He does not. We're going to go for the flip turn here. We're going to go for that flip turn here. As if he stays in, he does stay in. We KO with flip turn. We go Gholdengo. We lock Make It Rain, and that should seal the game. Let's see. Do you die? You do, in fact, die. Down goes Darkrai. We go Gholdengo, and I think we lock the game. Let me just make sure Gholdengo's the correct play here. Make It Rain kills you, unless you're Babiri, after all the damage you've taken. And even if it doesn't, we've got Boulder to revenge you with Mighty Cleave. Boulder cannot kill you, guaranteed from this range, so I don't feel as comfortable going into Boulder right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Gholdengo. I'm going to click Make It Rain. It puts you in range if you're Babiri. And if you're not Babiri, you die. So, and if you're Scarf, then Ho-Oh should win. But I don't think you're Scarf. I think we saw you switch moves. We didn't. But so you might be Scarf. It's possible he's Scarf. He's not! We're going to click Make It Rain. We're going to connect. And we're going to go to finals again, baby. Our 5th finals this generation. Somebody sign me, man. A dominant performance from John Jr., if I do say so myself. I'm him, man. I'm him. Big 5-0 on a player that I really, really respect. Let's go. Huge shout out to Wagon again for that Chopo shout out on the Cure in Black. And if you guys don't know who is playing in finals against us, I recommend you go check out the other people's videos. I'm not going to go ahead and spoil it like I did that one season in BBL. Or in BBR. We're going to finals again, man, and I do not plan to lose. And I am dead serious about this. We are currently 0-4 in finals in Gen 9, maybe even 0-5. I plan on getting our first chip in this BBL season. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, and I meant it. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to Shuckle. It was a good game, man. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.